In 2015, during his acceptance speech at the Golden Globes for Best Supporting Actor for the first Creed, Sylvester Stallone infamously forgot to thank Ryan Coogler, who pitched him the idea to bring the franchise back through the son of Apollo Creed, who co-wrote it and directed the movie, and was sitting right in front of him at the Creed table at the Golden Globes. Nothing from Stallone. Totally blanked. And I'd like to say that I bet Stallone misses him now because Coogler isn't involved in this sequel. But while Stallone's ego gave him the necessary fire to break into Hollywood, he not only starred in the first Rocky, but wrote it because he couldn't get any good acting roles. But I think that ego has also led to him always feeling that he knows best, which early on, when he was on a roll, did lead to some iconic work, but he's never really gone beyond his comfort zone. Because again, he wants to be king, and I think he also wants to be in that safe space that he feels he knows so well. But when you look at his recent work, you can see that's not the case. But also, since he keeps making this type of movie, I bet Stallone feels Creed 2 is a great movie. But the truth is, though, while Ryan Coogler made the Rocky franchise more modern and relevant, Stallone, who takes writing duties back here, plunges the franchise back into the past. And I'm not just talking literally with all the Drago stuff. And you might be like, but Grace, even in the first Creed, Michael B. Jordan is playing Creed's son. But Coogler never leaned on the Rocky mythology as heavily as Stallone has in the subsequent Rocky films, and as he does again here. And also on that note, this is simply a story we've seen way too many times, not just in the Rocky movies, but in the explosion of boxing films that have followed it. And while Stephen Caple Jr. is certainly a solid director, he's not a great director, I'm sorry to say. His camera placement is as by the numbers as Stallone's script. And the fights are nowhere near as electric as they were in Coogler's Creed. The very first time that you follow Michael B. Jordan's Creed into the ring in the first film, I knew it was a special movie. And I knew that Ryan Coogler was destined for great things. Although I've liked his work, even before that. And of course he did. He was destined for great things. He's now a superstar director and has made one of the most important films in the history of Hollywood. I don't get any of that sense while watching Creed 2. It just feels like another Rocky movie. And I guess in many ways, because of Stallone taking back control, it is. However, there are three things that make Creed 2 still a pretty good time at the movies. The first is the audience. Now, Creed, being the new focus of the franchise, has brought in a whole new group of fans. Although I'm sure some people were also fans of the Rocky franchise, but I think it's important to note that I went to the first public screening of the movie last night. Actually, the first in the Dolby Theater. It was very nice seeing it in a premium format. If you're going to see Creed 2, definitely spend the extra money to see it in a premium format. But it was largely an audience made up of people of color. And the excitement in the theater was palpable. Like when the title card came up at the beginning of the movie, applause in the audience. And the audience became interactive during the third act when the film finally started to pick up its pace and to click. That was almost a little bit like going to an actual boxing match. And I feel if the film had been better, that experience would have been even better. But God bless the audience. They were trying to plus it as much as they could because, everybody was in that room, in that theater to have a good time because we all remembered how good the first Creed was. Now, the second thing that's good about the movie is the final fight. Now, Creed's entrances to both his major fights are pretty darn cool. And one nice modern thing about this film, is that it shows how boxing has evolved in terms of being a spectacle. The technology, the importance of that element, stuff was all really great. And while the camera choices, again, are weak, the fight choreography is strong. And in that final fight in particular, Michael B. Jordan and Florian Montaño as Victor Drago are both so raw and powerful that it really feels like two titans are exchanging blows in the ring. It was still, even though the camera work was so uninspired and flat, it still managed to pop off the screen because the fight choreography and the acting and the physical prowess were so amazing. I also really liked Creed's take on his father's famous boxing shorts. The American flag still, but charred from battle, both physically and mentally. And then 3, finally, on that note, if you can't, you only have a convincing mental battle if you have good actors, and Creed 2 certainly has an incredible cast, not only in terms of acting ability, but also super charismatic. I mean, everyone loves Rocky. Sylvester Stallone, this is the role that made his career. He originated it, he dreamed it up, and he just really knows how to pull all the heartstrings just the right way. But Michael B. Jordan, who Stallone also forgot to thank, by the way, is worthy of the Rocky mantle in every possible way. And also, it was a little fun to see. I mean, a lot of times during the movie, because it wasn't totally engaging, I was like, they got to find a way to bring Killmonger back. This guy's just amazing. I've really always liked Michael B. Jordan. I even liked him as Johnny Storm. But it was funny to see him playing like a good guy again, right? Because he still had some of that Killmonger anger, but then he was like, but I'm nice, and you're like, oh, that's a nice surprise. Then also, Tessa Thompson gets to play a more dynamic boxer's girlfriend turned wife than women usually do in this type of movie. And her role is helped by having her own struggles and her own career in music. Also, Thompson's long fingers, highlighted by a killer manicure, which she wraps around her hearing aids throughout the film, but also Michael B. Jordan, are hypnotic. So cool. Also, she and Michael B. Jordan share some compelling struggles, not only with his fights, but also with the birth of their child. And casting really hit a home run here, because the baby in the movie, or babies, usually they sometimes cast twins to play small children, but adorable, so cute. And some hint, I don't think they're ever going to do that big of a time jump, but that this franchise could continue, and perhaps with a female lead. That would be very interesting. Although female boxing, as you know from Muhammad Ali's daughter, not that great. Although she could go into mixed martial arts, now Ronda Rousey's in the WE, the wrestling world, and she's making a lot of headlines. And there's a lot female wrestlers are getting a lot of attention in social media. So maybe there is a path forward in that way, especially if I can see Michael B. Jordan being like, 2's enough. I think he has bigger and better things to do. So that would be a great way forward. I don't know if Stallone could continue unless he's going to play like Rocky apparently takes really good care of himself, but I would actually be really interested in seeing that. All right, so anyway, Phylicia Rashad also does a nice job, as does Monteneau. He's not bad, and he's obviously, because he's actually a boxer, very convincing. But while Dolph Lundgren is famous for being an MIT dropout who's surprisingly smart, and he's been giving a lot of interviews for this movie, and in those interviews, he's not only talked about his past, but that he feels he was pigeonholed in Hollywood because of his early success with Rocky IV. That's the only way that Hollywood saw him. The hard truth is that he just can't act. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you're a good actor. And he is not a good actor. And I would say the same goes for Brigitte Nielsen, who shows up here, and only hardcore, people who really know the franchise would even be aware of who she is when she shows up. But she has one line, and she still manages to do a really bad job. So wooden! All right, so Creed 2 is not a knockout like its predecessor. And again, quite frankly, the talented cast isn't challenged. They can deliver such a much better story. But if you're a Rocky and now a Creed fan, well, you'll still have a good time. And as you can see, I'm still interested in the franchise continuing. So it didn't break it. It didn't break it like Drago tells his son to do to Creed. Still fighting. All right, so that's my review of Creed 2. I'd be very curious to hear your own thoughts about the film down below. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.